Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 2 of our annual Innovate Conference. My name is Hemant Madaan from our Texas team, local here, based in Dallas. I'm so excited to welcome you to our home here at Pegasus Park and for the day we have ahead of us. To kick things off today, I'm thrilled to introduce our speaker for our keynote today, someone who embodies the spirit of entrepreneurship and innovation. Hemant Madaan is the founder and CEO of JumpGrowth, a company that has helped countless startups and enterprises accelerate their growth through cutting-edge app development and technology solutions. With years of experience building businesses from the ground up, Hemant has been a leader in the startup space, known for his visionary approach in leveraging technology for his visionary approach to leveraging technology for his success. The Masschallenge expert pool. Today, he'll be sharing his insights on navigating the entrepreneurial journey and harnessing innovation to overcome challenges that every founder faces. Please join me in welcoming Hemant to the stage.
Good morning. Can you hear me all? Okay, cool. Thank you, Hemant, for that introduction. My name is Hemant, as Hemant suggested, and humbled by that introduction. I live in Dallas, and I'm not sure how many of you heard that thunderstorm in the night. I was awake. My son came to my room, and it was just crazy. Chris is traveling from Utah. He's a team member, and he heard it too, and he was like, is it Dallas? I'm like, yeah, that's Dallas for you. Well, thank you today for attending this session, and I welcome you all to this great city of Dallas, people who are traveling from outside Dallas. Today I'm going to talk about this topic which is very close to my heart, in embracing the long-term vision. I have built a little over 3 companies so far, and right now I'm running 5 different brands of companies. Legally, there are 3 different companies, and one company owns 3 sub-brands, which we'll just see. So I've built this business sustainable to sustain and exist for the past 20 years. I hope I'm able to add some value and put some vision into all the young entrepreneurs and startups which are going through this cohort with Masschallenge. So today we'll talk about building sustainable growth in tech, which I know is a challenge in itself. Just with a show of hands, how many of you are entrepreneurs over here? Oh, that's quite a lot. And how many of you are in early stage? Let's say less than 5 employees. Okay, pretty much everybody. Good. And how many are you from Dallas? Just a side note. Okay, so almost 50-50. Well, as you know, 85% of tech companies, they shut their doors after the first 2 years. That's a very sad figure to live with, but that's a hard fact. After working with startups for many, many decades, now I realize why. And I'm sure everybody must be reading about it, but today I'm going to share some wisdom on how can we make good long-term sustainable companies which can exist and grow even when you are not there, even when you, the sole entrepreneur, is, let's say, outside that business. How would they still exist in the longer run? So a little bit about me. I'm an entrepreneur and a businessman, a technologist. These are the 3 brands which are sub-brands to my main company called OTS Solutions, which I started around 20 years back in India. 2002 I started. I was 22 at that time. People ask me, why did you start it? And I'm like, I was mad. I was just full of passion and I wanted to do something on my own. So that's how I started. I'm a dad of 2. A girl and a boy. I have a teenage girl and I have a 9-year-old boy who snuggled last night after the thing happened. I have 4 offices now, 100 plus employees spread across India and US. I currently run 5 brands, as I said. So JumpGrowth is what I represent. We also have a small booth over there. And we provide digital solutions to companies, businesses, ranging from startups to all the way Fortune 1000 companies, where we help them with software development and app development services. And we've grown into various other brands, which are ancillary brands offering cloud services, offering staffing solutions to the businesses that we work with. I also happen to run Sodality, which is a totally different company, which is a white label platform, app platform, which is a startup, a technology product which we have built for nonprofits and religious organizations. That's a niche, that's a gap which I saw some years back, and I started that company. And right now we have over 300 active customers over there, which we are also growing in parallel as well. I also, and I'm very proud of these failed products. I launched 2 products which failed in the past. One of them was around blockchain, and one was around another thing which I did, which I cannot mention. But the blockchain was big learning, and that also showed what I can do and I should not be doing in the future. So learned my lessons, learned that not every co-founder is a good co-founder. You need to find good co-founders to make sustainable teams as well. So that was one big learning out of that. So that's a little bit about me. I, as you know, come from India. Moved to US in 2015 from a place called Delhi, which is the national capital of India. I started with a small room with 2 employees, the second employee being me, and the first one was my friend who I was paying some salary to do some sales and marketing for me. I was a technologist by heart, and I started doing coding and providing technology and coding services, starting with that. Grew that to 10, then 40, then 100 people. And that's when I realized that we are now hitting a ceiling. And that's when I started exploring where should we move and open our second office. So a fun fact, US denied my visa. They did not want me to come in 2012. I shifted so, being an entrepreneur, you're always looking for, okay, if this is not working, what next? So I started exploring the option of going to Australia, which was the second largest customer base I had. I almost packed my bags, and then probably God had different plans. I got a different lawyer, and he said, you have a genuine company. I can definitely make this work for you. So here I am, after 8 years living in US, now a green card holder, permanent resident of US now. So that's my small journey coming over here. I'm a first generation immigrant, and I would like to slowly, a little bit talk about what this slide means. And a lot of us talk about entrepreneurs. A lot of us talk about being businessmen or owning a business. What's the difference? Can somebody tell me? What's the difference? Okay, go ahead.
Well, I'm thinking if you're an entrepreneur, you're going out there and you're basically assessing the opportunities, investing your money, risking your capital and your reputation. Whereas being a business owner, you're buying someone else's hard work and taking that.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Most people, well, a lot of people will start their own company because they're sick of the 9 to 5, and so they start their own company and then they realize they work 24/7. So if you're an entrepreneur, your success or failure is entirely dependent on you, and you sign the kind of make your own fortune.
Good. All good points there. I would like to say that I transformed from an entrepreneur to a businessman. I think when I started, it was pure passion. I believe when you're an entrepreneur, there's an urge from inside. You wake up at 3 a.m. with these weird ideas that what are you doing in a job, and you need to do something on your own, and you cannot take this shit anymore. Sorry to use this word, but you need to kind of do something about it, and you end up doing something crazy, which is like opening a company. Okay, let me go ahead and do it. But then with time, you realize that it's much more than passion. It's much more than just, doing something. It's much more than just creating an impact for yourself. It's much more than just having a bunch of people. You then become responsible not just for your own family, but for the family of your team members. You have to grow the company, you have to grow the business, that there's a larger responsibility. So at that inflection point where you start believing that now this is a business which has to grow and has to take the responsibility, you then at that time become a businessman. And that's what happened to me. I would say with time, with years, I slowly started as an entrepreneur, risked a lot of my own things, did a lot of my own things, and then I started becoming more responsible. And I slowly transformed into a businessman where now I talk more about P&L. How do we grow it? What exactly should we do to be more responsible around P&L and not just do weird, risky stuff, which I used to do earlier. So that's a progression which would naturally come to all the entrepreneurs when they are long in the game. And that's the reason it's very important for us to understand surrounding this topic of embracing the long-term vision. Because if you are building, and yes, I mean, there are entrepreneurs I've seen where their vision is probably short-term. They would like to play it for 3 to 5 years, they make an exit, and that's fine too. I mean, it's your own need, what you want to build. But if you're looking for a long-term sustainable business growth or long-term sustainable business, which is where the market and the investors are going now, I would strongly advise you to look into this topic and how to become a better business owner after becoming an entrepreneur. It will help you grow from an entrepreneur to a businessman or a business owner, because eventually you will earn for your business, you will earn for your family, for your employees, and you would slowly have to be responsible for your investors, your stakeholders as well. So start being more responsible with time as it progresses. It all starts with a vision, as we know. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about, okay, I did not see this. Oops. Can we do something? I can look at, but what about these people? I didn't know that. I'm so sorry, guys. Technology. Everybody, please, sorry. I will, yeah, absolutely. There you go. All right, so vision. I'd like to start with this great quote. Every visionary is a dreamer, but not every dreamer is a visionary. You can dream all the way you want, but to have a vision where you can really feel that this is what I want to achieve in the next 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, whatever, that's what it takes to become a visionary. So I would strongly advise not just to dream. And I meet with entrepreneurs day in and day out. And a lot of people that I meet, they just have dreams. They don't have a vision of what their company would look like after 5 years, after 10 years. Where are they going? The max they are probably thinking is a couple of years. So don't be that entrepreneur. Be a visionary. Be a vision and create a vision and write it down. A lot of people I meet where they've not even written it down. And no blame, guys. I wrote my vision after 10 years. And trust me, the moment I wrote it, it changed everything. And after writing that vision, I believe what you should start is communicating that to your team. If the vision statement, and I say that with all the pun intended, if that vision statement puts the fire in your belly and puts the fire in the belly of all the team members that you have, then you have created a good vision. So do that activity. It is very, very important because that's going to give you clarity on what's going to make your business and your startup, if I may, sustainable for years and years to come. So I have always met a lot of dreamers. Don't be those dreamers who don't understand. Do your research. Understand what is really required to create a sustainable vision. And just remember, it's not a sprint. You really don't need to kind of finish it in 2 years, 3 years, make an exit. Well, if it happens with destiny, that's okay. But think 10 years ahead. Think 5 years ahead, at least. Create a vision for you, for your business, for your team, so that people can really live that vision on a daily, weekly, yearly, quarterly basis. I would Highly, highly recommend that. And communicate. Communicate, communicate, communicate. I was told by a mentor that if you are not communicating at least 7 times, your team would not hear you. So communicate, communicate, communicate. Write that vision and then communicate more. All right. Creating long-term vision in tech. It's the most challenging thing. Why? Because everything is just moving. Technology changes. You wrote some code today where after 2 years, the technology that you use for the code, your code product might not be even existence. AI is changing everything today. You don't even know whether that technology would be prevalent or will be in existence. And this has happened to me. Probably, I've seen 3 cycles of technology where I had my developers working on XYZ skills, and just in a couple of years, those skills are not relevant anymore. And I had to then either rehire or retrain, and it's a circular thing that keeps on doing. So creating a long-term vision in tech is very difficult, and these are the major challenges that I see always become a hindrance to you. Market dynamics. Market is always changing. You plan something, and then the Fed increases the rates. Now nobody's buying your technology. What do you do? It's a challenging affair all the time. And I believe keeping the short-term focus is another issue, which I believe I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs fall into the trap of that short-term vision where they only think of 2 years, 3 years. And that thing used to work earlier, but now even investors are looking for more sustainable growth. What really can your company provide them in terms of ROI? So their investor expectations have also changed. As I said, these 4 things are always changing, and your vision has to be strong enough to create and surpass these things, and always keep these things in mind when you create your vision. I want to talk a little bit about sustainable growth. Things have changed. I think from 2012 onwards, we saw a huge golden era of B2B SaaS or technology companies, as we know. And in that era, people were just running after growth at any cost. Not anymore. Money is not cheap anymore. Investors are not going to give you money just for the sake of growth. No longer is customer acquisition cost okay to be 10x of your profit. No, those days are gone. You need to kind of now think of what is the ROI you're bringing to your investors. Because now they know if they keep their money and just park their money, even in a savings account, they can earn 6-7% easy, right? So you have to kind of beat that. And so finding first step is to find the right investors who would look at the long-term vision along with you. And now investors are going to be looking more for the ROI. Money's got expensive. There is no more just growth, growth, growth. Unsustainable growth tactics, which have worked for us for the past pretty much almost 10 years, are no longer in existence. We saw a big crash after COVID. A lot of people, and I'm sure everybody must have read this, a lot of tech people got laid off. Why? Because the cost became a big concern for all the investors. They started pulling out the money. They started pulling out, no, we cannot sustain this growth. We cannot have you guys just focusing on growth and not focusing on any profitability, and your company would be profitable in the next 100 years. No, those days are gone. You need to be profitable. You need to show them, okay, I need to be profitable in the next, let's say, 5 years. That's the reason it is even more important for you to think on long-term vision, think on long-term sustainable growth now, and show that in your numbers. It's important. I invest, and if people come to me, I always look for, okay, what's your 5-year plan? Don't give me a 1-year plan. I want to see what's really happening. Where are you going to make money? You have to have sustainable cash so that you can start supporting yourself after 5 years. It's shifting. There's a big shift right now happening. So if you are now starting your company, think from that angle. How soon can you start becoming sustainable from the cash perspective? In my multiple businesses that I've created or ran humbly, I would say I have always tested them with time. And my test that I have always used is this 3C test. And I would encourage you guys to think on this to become or to make a more sustainable business model. I know every company, every product can be different. They can be having their own different characteristics of a product. Maybe it's a technology product, it can be a device, a medical device, or it can be an IoT product, whatever. But these three things trump everything else. I would say C for customer. They are the king. They are the sole king. Whatever they tell you, believe, understand. If you have to iterate, if you have to scrap the product, so be it. Do it. I did that. That was the another startup I was not telling you guys about because I shut it off in 1 month. 1 month. I did a product called Field Task where I planned a B2B SaaS platform for field workers. And I planned an app for them where the field workers can go and get their daily task and they can update their central head office through the app. Did that, launched it in the market. Within a month, I got the feedback that there is a ton of competition which is already available and they are selling at 1/10 of my price. And I was not like, it was just a beta version that I launched, and I realized that probably to build to that level would take me another 2 years, and it's not worth it because there's too much competition and I would probably never be able to kill it. And I killed the company. I killed the company in a month. And I was lucky enough to do it because I had, my other brands working, but probably for some it might not be. But as I said, again, look here. Not my fault, guys. This is not technology I built, so sorry. Customer is, it is beyond anything else that you have. Second, C for me is cash. Do I have enough cash to sustain? Do I have enough cash to build it further for the next 12, 18 months? Will I be able to sustain my business, my people, my team, even if I don't add any growth for the next 6 to 8 months? Will I be able to do that? And how? More important is how. Do I raise more money? Will I be able to generate cash through my selling? Do I have enough cash being generated already? What's my ARR? Do I need to increase my pricing? And do I need to go after bigger customers? Do I need to change my customer sphere? All that comes in the question of cash and the capacity. What is the capacity I have? Can I don't know, many of these startups do this on the side. They're students, they are doing 9 to 5s, they are doing this on the side or, experimenting it on the side. Do you have capacity to run this? It takes everything. It takes sweat, blood, kids, time, food, health. I've done all that. And is it worth? To some, it does give you a sense of kick, which is where when I started, it happened. But do you have capacity? It's a very, very important. And everybody has different situations in life. You need to kind of think about it before you get into it. Or when you, honestly, if you see that the top 2 C's that you have, customers and cash, is not sustainable, even if you have capacity, think twice before moving forward. And if you don't have capacity to take over or go further, don't go for it. And I'm sorry if I'm discouraging a few entrepreneurs here, but I want to, because that's my job. I want to show you the sustainable future. So do only if it is doable. Otherwise, it's okay. You tried, learn from it, maybe some other time, Focus is moved to NRR, ARR, cash flow. As I said, the investors are looking more on these points ever than before. So talk about these things pretty early in the game. As soon as you start, let's say operating, launch a beta, talk about these factors as soon as possible. So these are 3 mantras: achieve growth, lower the cost, and recurring impact. Very important. I learned my impact into my customers. Coming from technology world myself, I was more of a technologist than a businessman, as I said earlier. I was not giving, I realized this probably after 10 years, I was not giving enough importance to my customers. And they are the king, as I said. And now my company has a policy of doing a pulse check every month with all my customers, because they give golden feedback. Golden feedback. Who to keep, who to appreciate, who to give warnings to, what kind of engineers are working out for you, what kind of engineers are not working out for you, what's the problem, what's not the problem. Customers are the king, and this, it also kind of tells you what kind of impact are you making in your customers' lives. So, and there has to be a recurring impact. It's not just, okay, I did a project and, fine, there we go. And it's not just one time. You're building a product for existence, for life, not just an year or two, as I said. That's what sustainable growth, sustainable business model is all about. So think about how can you produce and provide a recurring impact to your customers. Very, very important. Before I go further, I also would like to talk to you about Sodality, which is the other brand that I'm currently building. I launched Sodality version 1 in 2022, 2 years back. And it's a product. So how it started was we did a project for a nonprofit. And we realized that most of the nonprofits don't have a mobile app. And to the tune that they don't. So generally, just giving a ballpark to, even for offshore, if you want to build a mobile app, you would be in the range of 40 to 60 grand. In the mid-size project. Can be lower if it's a smaller project. But then we realized that a lot of these nonprofits, after working with that nonprofit, a lot of smaller ones did not have cash or money to do that. So that's what intrigued the idea of Sodality and started it. And we started building that as a platform which we can further sell. It's a mobile app platform which we can further sell as a white label app for nonprofits and religious organizations. Launched the product, version 1, 2022. A lot of people showed interest. A lot of people signed up for it. But then when we started asking for money, they were not even ready to pay $50 a month. And it was, I did that beta rollout probably for 8 months, and I was devastated like an entrepreneur, and I was like, what to do now? And so I started exploring, and I figured out that, and this is the feedback I got from the customers, that if you give it to us for free, we don't mind paying the platform fee if you want to charge, let's say, a percentage of all the money that's getting exchanged on the platform. And that was gold. I did that. So we went back, scrapped everything, completely changed the business model. We launched the version 2 in 2023-ish, mid-ish. And this time we launched with a $0 upfront. You can just come on board, start hosting your events, even have paid events, start accepting donations. We would just charge 10% platform fee, which is, again, given as an option if you want to pass it on to your donors or to your members. So that changed it completely. We now have 300 active members. And now, after having those 300 active members, we are probably thinking of going back and start charging some minimal amount because we need to pay our fee and, managing the servers and all that. Again, I was able to do that because I had the capacity. I was running a different company. I was making some cash over there. So it totally depends, customer, cash, capacity. If these three things are aligning with your business model, with your business, with your tech startup, then go for it. Otherwise, think twice, think thrice. Just be a little more aware about what you're doing. Delving a little bit more into customer experience, as I said, is, so earlier it was said customer is the king. I think things have changed a little bit now. It's the customer experience that has become the key now. Everything has become so digital, so technology oriented. The user experience and the customer experience kind of trumps, aces, everything else that you have in the product now. You can find out similar SaaS solutions, but why is it that only HubSpot became number one? Because they have an amazing customer experience. Why is it just Amazon being able to be so amazing in delivery, shipping? Why? Because they focus so much on customer experience. Be that wow factor to your customers. I learned again the hard way. The slide is cutting over there, but the cost of acquiring a new customer is almost 5 to 25x of retaining an existing customer. Retain those customers. That's very, very important. And think always, why would a customer come and spend dollars on your platform? That's a question which should always, instead of just planning and thinking in the future about what your product would look like in the next 3 months, 6 months, think what is this value that I can offer to my customers where I can ask for more dollar value from the same customer and grow in the existing accounts, especially if you are in B2B space. If you are in B2C, then probably offer some more freebies, try to see what experience can you provide them, and have the customer feedback loops as soon as possible. I've seen this mistake being done by a lot of startups. They start their feedback loops after they have launched, their version 1, version 2, and don't be stubborn. I've seen many entrepreneurs being stubborn. I remember working with a client, and this was before Indeed was even in existence. He was scraping jobs out of all the healthcare organizations, and we built a platform for him where these jobs were coming onto the platform, and great technology we built much before Indeed, and customers kept on telling him that the user experience is not great. And I kept on pushing him that, we need to do something about the UI. We need to talk about it. But he kept on, just putting it on the side because he knew that he was the lone survivor or leader at that time. He was just going for it. He had the capacity because he was already running another recruitment business. So he was going with it. But then very soon Indeed came. And Indeed was great customer experience, great user experience. They were very focused on healthcare jobs. Indeed is, as we all know, a much wider net, more number of jobs, all kind of jobs. 6 months down the line, he had to shut the shop. There was nobody coming on the website anymore. He just did not have capacity, and also kind of co-aligned at that time with the 2007-8 crash that happened. So I lost a customer and he lost the business. So it's very important for you to listen to your customers, and instead of learning it the hard way, learn it the easy way, the way I'm telling you, start getting into those customer feedback loops as soon as you start getting into maybe a prototype stage. Go with the prototypes to the customers, show them, hey, this is what I'm building. Would you like it? Would you like to pay for something like this? Just take feedback and be open. Customers might say, this sucks. It's okay. Fine, take it, understand it, and then build it again. You've not lost much by that time. But if you've built it and you've launched it, you've already spent 50, 60, 100 grand. And then at that time, if a customer comes and tells you, hey, this does not work, then you are already in 100K. So do it faster. Go to customers, speak to them. Very, very important. I'm sorry, I'm trying to also go into not just building the sustainable vision, but I'm also kind of giving some tips on how to execute this vision further as well. So the most important thing, which I'm sure all the entrepreneurs go after and they struggle with, is cash and funding. I think almost 95% of entrepreneurs that I speak to have one, especially early stage, one single problem: funding. They all want money. And the problem I see with a lot of these entrepreneurs, they're all amazing people, amazing ideas, but the problem I see is they don't have a clear sustainable vision, and before even starting, they've not accumulated enough cash to at least start producing some cash for themselves. That's something which if I'm mentoring somebody, I would always say, okay, if you don't have enough cash, those days where you would just write the business model on a tissue paper and give it to an investor and you would raise money, they're gone, unfortunately. We are already past and beyond that time frame. So you now have to show the MVP working. Now you need to have active customers. You need to have some sort of cash coming in. Even if cash is not coming, at least you should have active customer feedback loops happening actively so that you can show the investors that, yes, listen, my customers are loving my product. I need money to scale it up from here. And believe it or not, the funding options today are much more in terms of variety than it was when I started. You can go on crowdfunding. One of my recent customers, he built a product for shipping, where we built an app for shipping companies to save and buy the safeguarding material. Like, you must have seen those white things which are put on the side when somebody's shipping some goods and all that. So he has been a veteran of shipping industry for the past 18 years. Anyway, so he did not have any money. And he had a great idea, very niche, super smart guy, worked in shipping for 20 years, and he wanted to build it. And I suggested, why don't you go crowdfunding route? And he did. He went to Start Engine, he gave some equity away, and he raised, I think, $250,000 from there. And probably spent around 80 out of it on us, and the remaining is all spent on marketing, and he has active customers already, and now he's raising money. So there are more options available than ever. But keep in mind that cash is the only single key or fuel that you need to run, operate, live, your business, your startup or whatever. So think for cash first than anything else. How are you going to make it? How are you going to really create that cash pipeline, be it funding, be it selling or doing something on the side, whatever. Do have a plan for the cash from day one. Don't just leave it, And also one more tip or pointer which I'd like to say here is, which I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs making mistakes, is let's say if they have 50 grand, they would spend all that money on building the product. Don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. If you have money, only spend half of it or try to spend half of it. And if you don't have enough, raise more. Because marketing is going to suck the blood of money out of you. Because marketing is more expensive than building the product now. It is crazy expensive. I've been there. I've seen so many companies, so many entrepreneurs failing simply because they did not plan enough or kept the cash aside for marketing. Always do that. Always have, I have a thumb rule, keep or raise 3x of your development amount that you need. So if you have, let's say if you need 60K for your version 1, for your MVP, at least have 180K before you even think of going and doing something. Don't do it otherwise, because you would need another 60K for marketing, and you would need the 60K that you have remaining. You should keep for any kind of deviance or risks that you would face, and you would face it. You would face a lot of hassles. You would require cash, trust me. So build that pipeline of money, very important from day one. If required, bootstrap from friends and family. That's what I did. When I started, I remember I took probably $2,000 in Indian rupees from my dad. That's how I started. And lucky enough, my business can self-sustain because I'm into service model. A lot of products would not even start seeing cash before they actually go live. So I understand your pain. But then again, that's a problem which you have to solve as an entrepreneur. That's what you guys are here for. So always keep an eye for at least 6 to 12 months of cash cycle. I would always advise that. At least keep 6 to 12 months of runway available to you. And I always say that the cash in bank should be for sustenance. But as an entrepreneur, you should always look at growing money for your growth. So raise money for the growth. Don't raise money for the sustenance. Your sustenance should be in the bank. Your growth money should come from the raising efforts that you do. And your raising efforts should never stop. It just cannot. So, and if you're believing that you can do all this alone, sorry guys, reality check, you cannot. You need to build a team. And that's where my next slide comes into the picture. When somebody asks me, what's your superpower? A recent podcast I did, somebody asked me, what's your superpower as an entrepreneur? And I said, it's only my team. If my team is not there, I'm nothing. I'm standing here because of my team. It's It's as simple as that. People, people, people. You can have a great vision, but without great people, it's literally irrelevant. If you don't have good people, and also not just having good people, knowing when and how much to delegate. That's a different topic altogether, which I can go on for the whole day, but delegation is an art. You need to learn that with time. You have to start delegating, and it can be a contractor, it can be a company like us, it can be anybody which can take off that hat from your multiple hats that you're wearing when you're building that early stage startup. You require people, and start hiring right as soon as possible. Hiring right and delegating right are the two most important things that you would do as an entrepreneur at any given day. Even today, I am still involved in a lot of my senior level hiring decisions, because I know if I don't hire right, my company's culture, my company's growth would be stalled. So take that very, very seriously. I remember a quick story over there. I remember I learned my first lesson about delegating the hard way again. I was delivering a project for a client in Dubai. I was there for a month, and maybe I was excited to travel to Dubai. My client asked me, okay, you need to send an engineer. Can you send somebody? And I was excited, like, I can come myself. Although I did not develop that product, but I did myself. I went over there. And after 15 days, my client called me and he's like, I met you over there. You are the one in the company. You have, at that time, probably 40 more people working for you. What are they doing? Why are you here? That, kind of rang a bell in me that again, customer feedback. But I learned that from there, that no, I need people to do their work. They have their own roles and responsibilities. And I get into these discussions pretty much every now and then where I have to tell the people, hey, listen, if I'm doing your job, who's doing my job? And my job is not doing your job. So you need to understand what you're doing. I mean, I can mentor you, I can help you, I can guide you, I can direct you, but I cannot do your work. Otherwise, I'm sorry to say, but I'll eat your salary then. Just give that salary to me. I'm a businessman in the end, right? I'm giving you money, I need something, And people are the most valuable assets. I know you must have read this statement there, here, whatever, but it's true. It is so true. Without the people, good people, you cannot build any good, sustainable vision or sustainable business. So hire right, delegate right. Once you've hired the people, you've delegated them, what next? You know what? Now you need to go out of it. That's the most important piece. After you've hired right, delegated them in the right way, what next? You need to start creating processes which can then be executed by these people in a dumb fashion, even when you're not there. Today, if you call my number, my board line number, that would reach a contracting company. They would take your details, will be given to a sales team. The sales team would call you. They would ask for your details. What are you looking for? They would then engage the technology team, move it forward. And in that whole process, which was, I must say, for the first 5 years, very me intensive, is no more requiring me. And I'm so glad and happy because now I can focus on other things. I can build more companies, which I'm good at, which is what I believe my destiny is. So I believe that the most important thing after hiring right and delegating right is to create good processes, document them. I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs, when they grow, they don't document these processes. Guess what? If that guy goes, that person who you trained, he went or she went, you're again in dud. You don't know what to do. Now you would require again to put in your time to train somebody new. Don't do that. Document those things. And whenever you're training that person, ask them to create the document for you and just review and then put that in a shared drive or whatever, so that whenever somebody new, or even when you scale up, you hired a second person in the same role, that person will just go through the document and they would take it from there. So process, documentation of the process, and simplifying the process is equally important in terms of executing your vision. Now, tools and innovation are very, very important. We are living in digital world where, we, especially tech entrepreneurs, they're always facing this decision whether I should be building it myself or should I be buying it from or, just partnering it with somebody. I would say it's one of the most important decisions that you will take as an entrepreneur. And take it wisely, because today's and you'd be surprised when you start searching and looking for things which you can just simply partner and you don't need to write or build it from scratch. Like, I don't know how many of you were there yesterday, but the gentleman who gave the presentation yesterday talked about AI models that he has built for the PCCI that they have, the Parkland hospitals. You'd be surprised that these models can then be downloaded and be executed by anybody. So imagine if you're a startup and you are doing something on the similar lines and you just get this model which would predict the, and he created a model where it would automatically identify if I'm writing a prescription with two drugs which would not go together. Imagine if you get that tool, that gold mine of the model that they've created, and you can simply embed that in your product to make a product, your 70% of your cost is just gone. So it's a very powerful tool to identify what you just can simply buy or download or embed into your technology product. Don't always look for building, and probably it is counterintuitive to me being a developer and charging you guys more, but I strongly believe wherever you can cut down the cost by reducing or partnering or calling through an API, do that. Please do that. Don't, for example, if you are writing a financial software, don't try to become a credit check company. You have enough APIs available today to just give you credit checks for free. Integrate with them. It's not that you cannot do it, but then why to do it? Don't try to reinvent the wheel again. That would just take off all your resources and it would eat your resources. A lot of people asked me this question yesterday about AI. Hey, I can use AI and write the code myself. Why do I need you? Yes, you can, but not completely. Trust me, I think I would not be in business if this was the case. I would be rather using that AI myself and I would not employ anybody. Yes, it does help, and we've, as a company, already started doing that. So there are tools available which would help my programmers, and they're already helping my programmers for reducing by 20-25%, but not beyond that. The AI today still cannot think creatively. It cannot still think from the customer side. It cannot give you the feedback. It cannot run those feedback loops and iterate it for you. It can probably run or create a piece of code which can be a portion of the product that you're building. Yes, that can be done, but that would save you, let's say 20-25%, which companies like us are already using. We are already using Copilot, GitHub. We are using Amazon Q, tools like these, which can be embedded into the coding software when the programmers are coding, and they can reduce the cost with that. So there are certain tools or strategies which I've listed down over there. Efficiently using outsourcing or offshoring. When you're starting up, your resources are limited. You cannot hire onshore. Hire a good team. I'm not saying just us, but do your due diligence, but hire a good team. And there are some really good teams available. You can really save almost 40-50% of your costs by outsourcing and offshoring. There are low-code, no-code tools. You can use them to start building your MVP. If you have no knowledge, if your product is small, you just want to test it out, you can build it in Figma or any low-code tool that can be done. Of course, again, the partnerships, very, very important. A few questions which would help you identify whether you should build it or buy it. You should always build anything which can give you the moat, which gives you the core of your product. Do not partner for that. Like, for example, if your whole product is around giving out suggestions or sending out messages on the basis of certain text read or whatever, build that core piece in that case, because that's your core piece. Sending out the messages, you can partner, but then that core piece of reading, understanding, creating or curate, I'm just giving an example, create that core piece. I mean, oldest of my customer has been with me for the past 18 years, and we started building with their core technology with time as they grew, they hired the team locally and now they maintain the core of their product, which we understand, but all the ancillary pieces are given to us and we still maintain that for them. So very important decision, build or buy. Once you've built your technology, now you're running a business. Very important. Are you measuring it right? And are you measuring it for the long term? So you've set the goal, you started the vision, that's a big bullseye. And then from there, so after setting your big vision, 10-year, 20-year vision, what next? You need to now start making sure that your team, you as a company, are on the right track. If you're not continuously tracking and giving direction, right direction to your team, they would definitely go off way. It's like running a business or operating a business for many years. It's like running a ship in the ocean. If you don't have the right compass and you're not having a right GPS or whatever tool that you require, your ship would go off way. So you should have a guiding lamppost on where you're going and always keep a track. And you keep a track with these measurables, people call them OKRs, KPIs, whatever tool you want to use. There are many tools, many management tools which are available now. And this probably can start probably a little more later stage, not early stage, but probably when you've started seeing some cash, you have got a team, you've got a process in there in place, then that's when you start, tracking these activities. But nowadays, investors are actually tracking a lot of things early on. So in the short term, you should be tracking these parameters, your MRR, your customer acquisition cost, your churn, your ROI. In the long term, that's where the vision is going now. Your lifetime value that you're offering to the customer. What's the customer satisfaction rate? So this is not easy fix. That's what all is in long term. Think on that. The way we do in our business is we have, whenever we do yearly meetings, we set the vision for the year. We set the targets for the year. We close our eyes. We see, okay, this is where we want to be in a year. And from there, we derive the quarterly OKRs or KPIs. And then from there, we derive the weekly as well. In fact, we derive quarterly, and then on a weekly basis, we keep a track on certain scorecard items, which all the leaders in my leadership team, they come forward with. They say, okay, we are here, we are not here, we are on track, not on track, this is what's happening. That gives a good direction, whether we are going in the right way or not, or if I have to do some pivot or whatever, that is always highly recommended and required. My last slide, I wanted to make it more entrepreneur to entrepreneur. Struggle. I'm not sure how many of you have read this book, Hard Thing About Hard Things by Ben Horowitz. If you've not, highly recommended. And that one page in that book just, took all my attention. He talks about struggle. Being an entrepreneur is a struggle. And I believe in that quote itself, the most important lesson of entrepreneurship kind of lies. And it's good to understand that you have to start embracing the struggle as soon as possible. Those sleepless nights, those economy going down, you have to lay off people, hiring more people, scaling challenges, descaling challenges. All that is not easy. And I've lived through it 3 times. I've seen recession, 2007, 8, COVID, and nowadays, again, I'm seeing a little bit of low turn. So it's not easy. And you should be there for a long term. So think on that. But I must say, it's not checkers. It's like playing a 3D chess. That's again what he says in the book. And I love that quote again. So I would like to say that there's always a move available. Don't give up. Don't give up with the challenges that you face. I would like to leave you guys with that. Do not give up. There is always a move available. It's a 3D chess you're playing. Don't worry. It's a long game. Just be there. Have that perseverance. Have that persistence in you amongst all the other qualities that I've put over there. Just keep hanging, man. You will be there. Don't worry. If it's destined to be, you will be. So don't think of short term. Think of more sustainable thing that you would do and keep learning. Again, second thing I'd like to leave you with. Keep learning and don't give up. There is always a move available for you to play and save your business or sustain your business and grow. That's it, guys. That's my time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hemant. We only have time for one question, but Hemant will be available for questions after the session, so I have time for one question, if anybody. Yes.
Hey, Hemant, thanks.
Sure.
Very helpful. So I wanted to comment. So when you were saying about your forecasts and your financials and how your long-term plan should be about 5 years, so, technology is very dynamic, market is very dynamic, users, change their habits. So I have come to understand and implement a shorter term policy, and I'd like to get your feedback on that. So we have projections for 2 to 3 years, because of the dynamic nature of competition and technology and users. Could you comment? Because 5 years seems to be a little too drawn out. Like things will not, genuinely speaking, things will change in a couple of years, So 5 years is irrelevant. What are your thoughts on that?
No, that's very valid and very true. So when I said creating a vision, what I meant was you should not create a vision for just 3 years. Your projections would definitely be not more than 3 years. But the vision is like having that big hairy goal that you would keep in mind. Like mine is becoming a $100 million company in the next 10, 15 years. And that's a big hairy goal that I've kept for my leadership. And it's something which would just excite you to do something as a next step. But to answer your question, yes, definitely. From there, we have then prepared our 3-year plan, the 3-year projection. That's what we aim for. From 3 year, then we derive 1 year. And from 1 year, we derive quarterly. So bang on. Absolutely. That's what we also do. But vision has to be there. There has to be something like a long-term goalpost. You see, okay, this is where we're leading to, and we're going to get there sooner or later. So you don't need to put a timeline to it, but have that in the vision that, okay, this is what I'm aiming for. And that's what, kind of, as I said, put the fire in the belly of my people. Okay, this is what we're aiming for. So,
Thank you so much, Hemant.
thank you, guys. Thanks a lot. Really nice. Thank you.
We'll now take a break. Be sure to grab some coffee, snacks, and refreshments. And startups, don't miss the opportunity to get a free headshot or photo session with our MC Innovate photographer in the glass lobby. It's a great chance to update your professional photos. We'll see you back here shortly for the next session.